What's up, guys? Welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about the truth when it comes to facing your anxiety. We have to change our belief system. We have to change our expectations whenever we're dealing with something as difficult and as challenging as overcoming our deepest fears, right? Or our anxiety symptoms, getting back to exposure. We have to change our belief system about that process. Mine was not very, very good. So we're going to get into that. So if you struggle with any type of anxiety, this video is for you. Watch the whole thing. You're going to get a lot of value out of it today. And do me a huge favor. If you're ready to kick anxiety in the butt, smash that like button down below, all right? And feel free to leave a comment. So for me, for a huge chunk, right, of my anxiety disorder, especially the first half, it was to my belief that I needed to be, 75% less fearful, right, of whatever my fear was, right? Driving, for instance, or getting back to exercise. You know, I've told that story a million times on this channel. Whatever it was that triggered me, and I had tons and tons of triggers, right? So I felt like I had to change my whole perception on driving, maybe through mindfulness and visualization and meditation, and I would change my diet, and then I started to cut bad things out, and then eventually, once I got past the exercise thing, I was exercising. It's kind of like I wanted my routine and the work that I did at home, right, to clear up at least 75%. Some of you have higher expectations. You don't want to deal with any symptoms whenever you get back in the car and you're practicing your exposure. I wanted to be in a really sweet spot whenever I started challenging my anxiety, facing my anxiety, getting back in the car or going back to work or doing my exercise, right? And the truth about facing your anxiety, guys, is you're not going to be fully ready to do that, right? So what do? We put it off, we put it off, we put it off. Or we attempt to get back in the vehicle and when our symptoms start to come up, right? And we're like, oh my God, I've been putting in so much work at home and I've been meditating and journaling about this moment and now I'm here and I'm still having symptoms, right? You have to expect when you get back in the car, when you go back to work or you go out to eat or, whatever thing or things that you're struggling with when it comes to anxiety, as far as it triggering you or your fears, individual fears or multiple fears, when you first start doing it, your subconscious is going to be angry with you and it's going to do everything in its power to get you to stop driving, to not come back to this, to avoid it next time, especially the first few times. We have to learn to accept that. We want those first trips in the vehicle or that first few days at work to just go smooth with maybe a few little bumps. Guys, I'm telling you right now, it does not work that way for 99.999%, right? There might be a miracle that happens every once in a while to some lucky individual. But for me, with any trigger that I had, I was never fully ready. I had to actually start thinking of my routine, and I've mentioned this and stuff on this channel. I try to give percentages. I don't know. These are my numbers. I make these up. You might hear something different from somebody else. But I try to get people to realize maybe their routine and the work that they do at home to try to visualize it as 25%. Now, for some people, that may be half, right? That may be 50% of it. It can take off 50% of the edge and the symptoms. But just to prepare you for what you're going to deal with your exposure, expect it to just be 20 to 25% of what needs to be done. The meat and potatoes of your recovery process is getting back in that vehicle, you getting smacked in the face with symptoms, rudely awakened, right? Because you've been in your safe zone at home in your bubble, and getting your subconscious to trust you whenever you're in the vehicle and you start saying, we're good, we're safe, we give context, right? And putting all the tools that we've been using at home into action. Because I don't know about you guys, but whenever I start a new job and everything, there's a big difference between orientation and my first week of work. Think about that. I think that's a pretty good way of comparing this, except it's even scarier, right? At home is like our orientation. If you're taking your routine seriously, you're watching YouTube videos, maybe you do therapy, or you're taking a course or reading books, you're working on your sleep, maybe you're getting some exercise in, right? That's like orientation. And at a job, those first couple of days are pretty smooth sailing, right? You're just sitting there filling out paperwork, going over policies. Here's your work equipment. Here's your PPE. And, this is how you clock in. You're taking a tour around the place, the facility, right? And you're feeling good. I got a new job and all that. It's pretty smooth. And you're still getting paid the same, right? But then they stick you out there that first week, and now you're running into problems that you didn't really go through or experience during orientation. You're figuring out how fast you have to work. You're interacting with strangers that you've never talked to, and it can be a little overwhelming. But you know that once you get past that week or two, right, it gets easier. You become more efficient at your job, right? You're able to work faster. You get to know Steve over here, right? You learn the most efficient way to do your job, basically, right? And what happens? Your confidence goes up, and guess what? The stress and the fear starts to go down, okay? Now, I'm not saying that's exactly the same thing as going from orientation at home to getting into a vehicle where you're having massive panic attacks. I'm not saying it's the same as that, right? I'm just trying to describe this in a way that makes it easier to understand, I guess, right? Expect your symptoms to kind of smack you in the face when you're first getting back into it. The biggest mistake is we do that. We do the right stuff at home. You watch the content, right? And you change everything. You get back in that car over there and you have the symptoms, and you think, and this is what I used to think, that I hadn't done enough at home to prepare myself for this moment. You are not going to be fully prepared when you get back in that car. You're going to have a set of tools, right? You're going to have a set of responses. You're going to have certain things that you say to yourself, right, whenever you're in the situation. But now you have to get your subconscious to trust you, because now you're actually in these situations. And for the longest time, you've told your subconscious, by responding in fear when you've been in a vehicle, giving fearful responses and not giving safety, you've basically said, next time I get in that car, scare the crap out of me so I'll get out of that car. That's what you've done for a very long period of time. So what do you think is going to happen when you get back in that vehicle the first time? Because you haven't backed it up, right? Now your subconscious is going to be like, well, is he going to, or she, or whatever, is he or she going to get out of the car and stop? I'm yelling. I'm saying, please, I'm scared. Stop. No, I'm going to keep driving. Am I going to still feel like crap? Yeah. But that is the only way that I get my subconscious to trust me and to follow through with this process. I've got to build trust. And I can't just, talk the talk. I got to walk the walk. I got to back it up with my actions, And then the next day is another big step. Am I going to do it again? Even though yesterday I felt like crap whenever I was doing it. I said all the right stuff. I practiced what, Trey taught me in YouTube videos or what my therapist told me, and I still felt like crap. That's because your subconscious doesn't take that stuff seriously in the beginning whenever you're doing exposure. Some of you, like I said, there might be a miracle out there for a few of you, okay? A few lucky individuals. But for most of us, we are still going to have growing pains, and we're going to still have a lack of trust from our subconscious when we get back to facing whatever fear. I'm using the vehicle, for example, because that was a big one for me. It was hell on earth driving with my anxiety. So that's just one example. Apply this to everything. If we stop expecting everything to be even 50, 60% better, from our routines and everything, whenever we do exposure, we'll stop being super rudely awakened or whatever, right? And we'll be more likely to be patient and consistent with it. You have to build trust again, and I try to use this comparison whenever I'm talking to somebody on the phone. Like, if somebody has lied to you over and over and over and over again, right? We've all had a compulsive liar at some point in our life, right? Or been associated with one, or had one that we can't avoid, right? In the family, or somebody we went to school with or work with. And they lie all the time, right? They lie all the time. But this day they come and tell you something, and he's like, but I swear to you. Are you going to believe that person if he's lied to you over and over and over? Heck no. So how do you gain trust, right? You have to come through. You have to prove that you're being truthful. And I have to tell the truth again and again and again to get you to believe me, right? Or for you to believe that person again. Okay, so now you have to get back in the vehicle again. Get back again, right? Don't pull over. Don't rub your chest. Don't grip the steering wheel. Don't speed back home, right? Walk the walk and be consistent with it. And not to mention, guys, if you've gotten your routine together and you're just hoping that routine is going to make that car experience great. Guys, you're going to waste a lot of time. Some of you are going to waste years thinking that you have to get this perfect before you get back into the car, okay? And you know who you are. If you've been waiting for years to do something, you're not going to get everything perfect up here before you get in that vehicle. That's just my opinion. Somebody may tell you something different. But for most of us, again, 99.999% of us, we are going to have some struggles when we get back to doing our exposure, right? So I guess in a nutshell, right, you're not going to be fully ready to start facing your anxiety. I'm not asking you not to be afraid, okay? I'm asking you to be brave. I'm asking you to show courage, to show up and do the right things, say the right things, and take the right actions, even though you feel symptoms. That's what I'm asking from you guys today. If you want to get your recovery process started today, go down below in the description and in the first pinned comment, guys. My course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp, is changing lives. I'm going to read you a review real quick. Matt says, so about a month and a half ago, I developed GAD, Generalized Anxiety Disorder. It was every day I'd wake up with extreme anxiety that would last most of the day. This being new to me, I started freaking out, not knowing what to do. As I started looking things up on YouTube, I came across Trey Jones' videos. I saw that he has an Elite Anxiety Bootcamp, so figuring it couldn't hurt, I went ahead and got the course. Let me tell you, if you want to beat anxiety, get this course. It was extremely helpful in understanding what anxiety really is and how to start the recovery process. I really don't know what I would have done without it. You can tell he really put his time and effort into this course, and if you follow all the steps that he teaches you, you will see insane results. I strongly recommend this course to anyone that suffers from anxiety, especially if you want to overcome it. Thanks again, Trey. Again, to be a part of that, the link's going to be down below. Very, very affordable, step-by-step, what I did to get out of panic disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and health anxiety. If I was able to do that after suffering for 5 long years, right, you can do that too. Love you guys. Until next time, keep fighting.